Alright, so I'm going to do my top 9 Inside No.9, top 9 episodes of Inside No.9. Okay, so Inside No.9 is a sort of a dark comedy-ish anthology series written by Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith. They previously worked on Psychoville and The League of Gentlemen as well. But this is an anthology series where each episode is different and each episode is set inside a number 9, like a number 9 class, a class 9 at school, or a number 9 bus, or a number 9 hotel room, or something like that. So each episode is sort of confined to a space. And they also try to aim for a kind of a twist at the end of the episode as well, sort of, but they're each individual little stories. Each episode is quite different. They're all sort of their own little individual thing. They're all quite different. And so if you ask different people what their favorite episodes are, like different people have so many different opinions of what is their favorite, because there's so many episodes that I necessarily didn't like. There's this episode called The Riddle of the Sphinx, and that is one of the highest rated episodes by everyone, if not the highest rated episode of all. It's about crosswords and solving crosswords. And so one of the reasons why it's so liked is because there's lots of clever sort of crosswordy, puzzly elements to the episode. But for me, I'm not that bothered by the crosswords, and I care more about the characters' emotional sort of reasonings and things like that. So I actually didn't really like the episode very much, at all. So it's not on my list, but it is something that's on a lot of people's list. So that's what's interesting about this, is that because each episode is different, everyone's list is so different. And so that's why I'm excited to do my list, because it's what you like, isn't it? Okay, so so there's 9 series, so I watched every episode, so we can now do the top 9 episodes of Inside No.9. Okay, so we'll start with number 9. So number 9, I'm actually going to go with the first ever episode, which is Sardines, the first ever episode. And I thought that was a good place to start my top 9, because it's a really good jumping on point for the whole thing, because it is where they start anyway. So Sardines is set basically in a wardrobe, because it's based on the game of sardines, where you have to cram yourself into a small space basically. And so that gives the opportunity to introduce one character at a time, and lots of characters as well. And so it's really cool because there's all these different actors, and they're having all of their different characterizations applying to the story basically. But what I like about it is that it's well done in a very, it's kind of awkward in a way, because they're all kind of stuck in this wardrobe, and the use of sound is really good, like the creaking of the wardrobe and characters having to lean across other characters, and they all have a different reason for being there, but it's all kind of awkward as well. But what I also like about it is subtext of the characters. There's actually a lot of nuance going on behind the scenes. You actually have to pay quite close attention to what they're saying on an emotional level, to understand sort of their backstories. They all seem to have really deep backstories that are very hidden beneath the surface. And I think that's a really good way to introduce the series, and also to start off my list, because it's got its own plot line to the episode, yes, but also each character has a more nuanced background to them as well, which I think is really cool, and you really have to tune into that to enjoy it on a fuller level. So I think that's a really good place to start at number 9 on my list. Okay. So number 8, I'm going to go with Tom and Jerry. Okay, this is kind of the opposite. This is not as many characters at all. And this is an interesting episode actually, because this episode goes way, way back to when Steve and Reece became friends years ago, after university. They knew that they wanted to be writers, but they couldn't really get in on writing. This is before they did The League of Gentlemen back in the 90s, right? And so one of the stories they came up with was a kind of a homeless guy and things that happened, because this thematics of this episode actually happened to them in a way, that they were sort of out of work and didn't know what to do with themselves, and sort of just shut themselves up in their room basically. And so that's kind of the theme for this episode. And so I like that this is actually quite a personal episode to them, and something that they've been working on for many years. And then it just came to be that this was the perfect place to include it in an anthology series. So I think that the characters in the Sardines episode are better developed, but this episode, Tom and Jerry, is a great episode at setting up how they want to twist the endings, I guess. I'm not saying a lot because I don't want to go for spoilers, but I feel like how they set up presenting endings to you, I think, is a really good showcase of what the show is. And so, yeah, I want to put that at my number 8 because it's this episode sort of changes over time until you get to the ending. So it's another very good episode and another episode from the first series as well. So yeah, I'm going to put that at number 8. Okay, number 7. Okay, number 7 is I'm gonna go with Nana's Party. Okay, Nana's Party for number 7. So this is actually quite a disliked episode. This is an episode that appears quite low down on other people's lists. Like a lot of people don't really like this episode very much. And so what's interesting about that is I can completely see why this episode isn't particularly liked. What's interesting about it is that the surface level story, the base level story of this episode is kind of plain, I guess, or I guess you could call it a little bit weak. I don't know like how to say it, but it's kind of a little bit redundant, I guess, that the main leveling of the story is kind of redundant, right? And I can see why people wouldn't like it for that reason. But the reason I'm putting it on my list, yeah, is that story, that is actually just the framework for the characters to be the multi-leveled characters that they are, right? So you got this kind of base level story about a party, and then you've got these base level guests that arrive at this party, but these characters are not actually what they're actually like. And so, without going too much into it, for spoilers, right? But for example, there's this one character and he makes all these jokes and he's really, really annoying and his jokes are just annoying. And he's that kind of character that comes to your party who's just kind of making these annoying jokes and doesn't engage with other characters on an emotional level because he's kind of hiding behind these jokes, right? But what's good about that is that his character, you can kind of see through the episode that, without going too much into it, but you can kind of see through the episode that he's actually just kind of sad. He's actually kind of a sad character. And these jokes is just like the way in which he has to get himself out into the world. And so there's like these actually very short emotional moments between each character where they're talking to each other and saying something. And you realize that the reason that they're like what they're like is for another reason. And mostly because that other character is not what they're like on the surface, and so on and so on. So it's actually quite interesting and it's actually quite nuanced. And then to have all of that placed inside basically a farce in a way, it kind of becomes a bit of a farce to have these kind of almost sad emotional characters placed inside a ridiculous farce. I think that's actually really clever. And I think this one goes really good in that theme. So yeah, I'm going to put that on my number 7. Okay. Number 6 is Love's Great Adventure. I think that's what it's called. It's called Love's Great Adventure, right? So this one is a Christmas episode and it follows a family at Christmas. And so what I like about this episode is that the storytelling is told through the emotional reactions of the characters, of the family, basically. And it makes for a really interesting and very powerful emotional level. Like the storytelling isn't told through a story, and the storytelling isn't necessarily told through a dialogue. It's told through the emotional interactions of each character as they're basically presented to us on screen. It's very like raw, very real people, just the acting and just how it feels real. Like, I don't know why I like this so much, but I really connect when characters present themselves on an emotional level that's kind of told through their body language and their eyes more than it is through their dialogue. You know, and dialogue maybe is used a bit more sparingly and that sort of thing. That to me is like a really powerful thing. I appreciate this episode could come across as boring if you're looking for a greater story. But for me, it's that emotional family aspect, particularly at Christmas as well. It's just really, really well done. The only reason it's not higher on my list is because the ending, they chose to focus on the end in a particular way. And because the whole episode was about the whole family, I kind of would have wanted more of a focus on that, what we'd been getting the whole episode, right? Than what they chose to focus on. I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but I wish that it had, I feel like that the raw power of it, I kind of wanted that to be at the ending as well. Although I appreciate what they wanted to do. I appreciate what they wanted to do with the ending, but I wanted all of it. I wanted the power of them, because yeah, it really stuck to me as a family and an emotional interconnectivity between the people. So yeah, that's that's definitely a good episode for that. Okay, so at number 5 is The Bones of St. Nicholas. Okay, so this is another Christmas episode. This is a Christmas ghost story, and it's a traditional thing to have a Christmas ghost story, right? It's just a classic, especially in sort of traditional English writing and stuff like that. It's traditional to have a Christmas ghost story. I mean, A Christmas Carol is actually a ghost story, right? But this is very reminiscent of M.R. James. If you know M.R. James's ghost stories, this is just a classic modern day M.R. James ghost story, because in the M.R. James ghost stories, he sort of interacts with something historical that has those elements of ghostliness in it. And so that's what they've done here. They've got these characters, but it interacts with a historical element in a church, basically. And it's just it is that classic ghost story element, right? That it has that people coming up against this in a spooky kind of way, but it's not so spooky that it's actively frightening necessarily, because that would probably be a bit too much, really. I just really liked it. I was watching it in that way where you're like, I want to know what happens. I'm totally engaged with it. And to create those themes, to create that ghost story Christmassy feeling, yeah, that's exactly what you want with a Christmassy ghost story. And they absolutely created that feeling in you, which is what you want, right? So it's just great to watch that and to feel that. It really lends that sort of ghostly yet festive elements to the storytelling, and yeah, to you when you're watching it, which is what you want, right? So yeah, I really like that one. Completely engaging episode, and completely exactly what it is for its theme. So yeah, okay, that's my number 5. Okay. Number 4 is A Quiet Night In. This is actually the second ever episode after Sardines. Okay, A Quiet Night In. And this episode is done entirely without dialogue. This is a no dialogue episode. Everything is acted sort of out in mime or whatever else. It's really, really greatly done, because every turn they escalate it. They escalate the comedy. They escalate the farcical nature of everything that's happening. And it just keeps escalating. It just keeps getting more and more ridiculous and going more and more wrong. And it's so great that it just kind of, they just pile more on. And it's just really cleverly put together. And it just basically builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up. And it finishes in a great way as well. It's just a really clever episode of no dialogue. It's just like the kind of thing that you just need to see. You just need to watch, because it's such a clever use of writing and conveying all of that basically in a farce that just kind of never seems to stop. So yeah, it's a great episode. That's my number 4. Okay. Number 3 is Bernie Clifton's Dressing Room. Okay, this is an interesting episode because it's about 2 comedians from the golden age of comedy, the golden age of British comedy, which is now basically over. And so they are old now, and they've kind of come to do a reunion, but it's kind of a bit of an awkward reunion because the golden age of comedy is sort of over. And so this is really clever because they're clearly friends, but it's got that kind of do we even need to be doing this anymore because that age is over? And it's also clever because of that subtext, because the golden age of British comedy, our most famous northern golden age comedians is Morecambe and Wise, right? We have Morecambe and Wise in Britain, and Morecambe and Wise, they're long gone now. That's an old thing now, right? And so this episode kind of evokes that. It's an interesting juxtaposition between the nostalgia of I remember the Morecambe and Wise era of golden comedy, yeah. On the other hand of but that comedy's over now, so the characters feel a bit redundant in a way, is this going to work again, right? So it is like that. And then it just builds up to basically a supreme ending, right? It is very, very good. I've gone and watched that ending several times. It is that good. I actually would have put this higher on my list because that ending is just so good. I would have put it higher on my list, but I feel like the start of the episode takes time to warm up, okay? It takes time to build up and to warm up. And in a way, it's a little bit awkward for them because they're getting used to being together again after all this time. They're old comedians coming back together, so it does take time to build up, but the ending's so powerful. This is a must-watch episode, honestly. Great storytelling and just such a it's just such a good. It's like in the top 3. Yeah, it's the top 3. It's absolutely really, really good. So I really, really love this one. Yeah, it's just really good. Okay. At number two, we have Zanzibar. This is in a hotel, and so it is basically a hotel farce. Overall, I do kind of like Bernie Clifton more for its impact, but with Zanzibar, the writing is consistently good throughout. From start to finish, you've just got a constant band of great writing, and one of the reasons for that, I will tell you, one of the reasons what they've done here is they have basically written a modern Shakespeare. They've written a modern Shakespeare fast, right? Everything is written in iambic pentameter, right? In Shakespearean iambic pentameter, right? It's all written like that. And so they do many, many clever little Shakespearean gags. For example, they'll have like a rhyming couplet, right? The characters are speaking in a rhyming couplet. And so their sentence is leading them towards a rhyme that you can hear in your head. And then they quickly change it to something that doesn't rhyme or something just to subvert it. But you know what they're trying to say, even though they haven't written it into the script. That's so clever because they've written it into the script without writing it in words, right? That's really clever, yeah? And so they actually put in a lot of sex jokes. There's actually too many sex jokes, right? And I find it a bit like awkward. There's too many sex jokes. It's like, it's not really my thing. But what's clever about that is that is evoking, again, the Shakespearean vibe, because if you know your Shakespeare, he would write on multiple levels. He'd write jokes for the upper class, and he'd also write like silly jokes for like what, the commoners down at the front. He'd write sex jokes basically. And so it's really interesting, like how they've absolutely, completely got this absolutely right, where they've got all of those clever, nuanced jokes that are done in poetry, done in rhyme, but then all these other like silly sex jokes as well. Like it was a bit too much for me, right? But it was clever that they put it all into the script. They absolutely pulled off a modern Shakespearean farce, and all these characters doing all these different things in the episode. It's just like from start to finish, it's so consistently good, yeah. So I just have to put it at number 2. It's absolutely amazing, yeah. So it's really, really good. I do feel like Bernie Clifton overall is more powerful in the end, but for just a consistently great writing episode, yeah, this is number 2. So absolutely, okay, good. Okay, number one. I have seen this pretty much at number 1 on everybody else's list of the top 9. This is undeniably, this is an amazing episode. Whereas I suppose most episodes of Inside No.9 are comfortably a 7 out of 10 and you can enjoy them at 7 out of 10. And whereas the ones I've put on my list are an 8 out of 10, this is just like a 9.5 out of 10. It just like blows everything else out of the water. Absolutely. This episode is so amazing. The 12 Days of Christine. It's another Christmas episode, right? It's another Christmas episode. But oh my goodness, this is another episode where the characters have their powerful emotional cores to them, and you see these characters going through their life, and it's just so great. Like, it's so like, it feels so realistic and so like pure, and it's so nice to see them becoming the characters that they are, being the characters that they are. It's just so immediately engaging. And so it's got all of that build up of these interesting characters that I've mentioned, like in the previous episodes, yeah. But that's crossed with these strange things that happen. I won't go into it, but these strange things that happen, they cut into the episode, and that just makes it interesting because it's like got this twist and this turn to it. And when it builds up and it builds up and it builds up and it reaches that ending, I'm not talking about it. Okay, you just gotta go watch it. When it reaches the power of that ending and the symbolism and the way that they present all of it to you, when it finally gets to the end of it and absolutely everything, it is such a powerful episode. Like I really cannot talk about it that much because it is so good. You just have to go and watch it. It is an absolute like masterpiece. Honestly, it's a masterpiece in storytelling and in showcase of a story. And then to go from the start, building up through these people and then finishing up at the end, oh my goodness, it's absolutely amazing episode. Like, this episode is so powerful. Like, it's just a masterpiece, right? Okay, yeah. I really can't say anymore. You just have to watch it, okay? It's so good. So that's my number 1, the 12 Days of Christine. It also completely stands alone from any other Inside No.9 episode. What I mean is you could just watch this episode as a one-off episode of a show you've never seen before, and it really be that amazing and that powerful. But I will also say that having an understanding of how Inside No.9 tells its stories with characters that also have kind of strange twists going on and stuff like that as well, that also actually heightens the power of everything. It's just great. That's it. That's my whole list. That's my top 9 Inside No.9. So yeah, I did really enjoy watching the series. Yeah, there's quite a lot of episodes, and so yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you've watched it, what your favorite episodes or what your top 9 is, and you pretty much have to go and watch like the top like 3 or 4 or maybe 6 maybe as well, because yeah, they're just really good. So yeah, I'm really happy. So yeah, that's it. Okay, I'm gonna go now. Okay, that's top 9 Inside No.9. And yeah, okay, we're done. And yeah, okay, goodbye.